Now, my name is Ken. You probably noticed the HKT security manager is also Ken. So for all the kids, if you want to have a career in cybersecurity, change your name to Ken, okay? That's my first advice for you. That's a joke, right? Okay, so a bit of introduction about myself. I spent the last 14 years in Australia working for big enterprises such as banks, insurance companies, health insurance manufacturers. And I was very fortunate to be able to work for some of the largest scale transformation programs in Australia. So I've seen it, and I made a mistake, right? That's probably the reason why Amazon hired me in Hong Kong. They want to learn from me what mistakes I made so they don't have to do the same thing again. So I can give this lesson learned to our customers here in Hong Kong. So what I want to do today is it's a very difficult crowd, actually. We have a bit of the crowd from professional people, but also kids as well. What I want to do is to tone down the level of professional thing in my presentation. I wanted to speak from the perspective of all the great people, great young people here. How do you want to become when you graduate, when you want to find a job? And perhaps what the challenges you will probably encounter when you enter the workforce, but also as one of the largest technology companies in the world, what do we look for in terms of talent, okay? So digital transformation, I don't want to spend too much time on it. Essentially, digital transformation, there are many ways to explain it, and many companies, many people have their own explanation. I don't want to read it. So essentially, a few keywords, right? It's about new, it's about fast, it's about frequently changing. I think for the young kids over here, it will not feel strange about digital transformation. I have a niece, all her class, all her textbook is on iPad. And when I was in school, iPad doesn't exist, right? It wasn't there. So all the things not changing. Now, if you were graduating one day into the company and you have a boss, right? You will work for an enterprise, you work for a company will have to make a profit so they can exist. They have to help their customers. But in a company, there are always competing forces. If you happen to be a developer, you are a very proficient coder, right? You're a programmer, you make things, you're a builder. You're over here. What business wants you to do is to build things fast. Why do you have to build things fast? Because you want to service your customers, and customers will be like you and me. What are the things about us is we don't concentrate, we don't have patience, right? I like something, a few minutes later I like something else. So our demand is changing all the time. So how do you catch up the speed? You want to do things fast. Now I also have operations. Operations will be the people trying to keep the candle lit, right? They want to making sure everything running as per normal. So as if you go to Instagram, you don't want to go to Instagram seeing it's out of service. You want Instagram to be on all the time, right? Now, in the middle of the security, you basically need a sandwich. If you want to build fast, people have to compromise. What do you compromise? Often security is the one people have to compromise. That's the reason why you found so many websites, you found so many applications, etc. They don't have great security. Why is that? I don't have time, I don't have money to do security. Now, because you're introducing more changes, you're building things faster, operations guys are not happy because introducing changes, every change is uncertainty, right? Uncertainty means things won't be stable. So it's always changing forces over there. But in the security, if you're in an enterprise, and people often think security as gates. So that's a photo of the car park in front of my house. So you would think, if I want to go into an enterprise, the first thing I need to do is enter a gate, right? The gate will be your security people thinking, hey, have you got your ID? As if, imagine how you walk into this building, right? You fill in the form, someone gave you a visitor card. That's the gate. What's the problem with the gate? Problem with gate is speed. Imagine if you have hundreds of thousands of people coming in the door today. You have 2 security people that are trying to get the order forms, trying to get all the visitor badges. It's not scalable. Going back to the photo before, right? You have the competing forces. And how do you come along and have the speed, not being blocker, but also keeping the security in place? So we want to change from the car park gatekeeping model to the highway model. So imagine if you have a drive, or maybe you've been sitting in the car on a freeway, okay? One of the things about freeway is it is smooth. You can always drive, and the rate of accident on the freeway is actually lower than a normal road. Now, why is that? That's because you have all sorts of guardrails, you have all the protections building the road. You have those guardrails, so if you ever crash, the impact of a crash is lower. You have those lines telling you, hey guys, are you staying in your lane? You may have something in the middle as well telling you, hey, if you ever to drive into the other side of the road, it gives you the feedback. It tells you, hey, it's a little bump over here, guys, wake up, back to your lane, etc. So to be able to have less accidents, but also drive all the time with the speed, also have the security, you want to have all the things built on the road as you go forward, okay? That's what we want to do, is to transform from the gatekeeping model to the freeway kind of guardrail model. Now, how do we realize that though? We want to have DevSecOps, okay? Now, maybe just show of hands, potentially kids as well. Have you guys heard about DevOps? Okay, good, great. The winner team from the university heard about DevOps. What about DevSecOps? Also, well, same people, great. So look, there are many ways people explain what DevSecOps is, right? It's like Kung Fu. You have Wing Chun, you have Tai Chi, all those things, all DevSecOps. They all say in the Kung Fu, that's fine. But in AWS, we have our own understanding. So DevSecOps in our world, in AWS, in Amazon.com, is a combination of culture, the process, and the technology. So the most important thing here is DevSecOps or DevOps is not just coding, programming, or you're building some automation. That is not DevOps, that is not DevSecOps. It is a combination of all three, okay? I will try to unpack why it's important to have these concepts in place. Now, our introduction to the technology, to the cybersecurity, we're definitely starting from technology. Like one of the participants talked about, I have no idea of CTF. Went online, I checked some code, I learned a bit of a Python script, I started doing Python script again. And that's technology, your introduction, that's fine. But as you progress, as you go deeper, as you go into the workforce, you'll find out technology takes you to probably 30%. Another 70% is your ability to use technology and combine with culture and process that can take you to 80 to 100. Now, in AWS, we have tenants. So that's not a movie, right? It's the same name as a movie, if you haven't seen the movie recently. What tenants is, at AWS, we want people to make decisions as their individuals. We want to make sure people can make decisions autonomously, and we empower people to make decisions for themselves as well. But now you may have a question, hey, if everyone over here makes their own decision, then how do you know they are all making the right decisions, right? How do you know all the decisions will basically come together to go to the same direction, get the right direction? That's why we have tenants. Tenants essentially, the easiest way to understand tenants is these are our North Stars, okay? So if you're driving, if you're walking in the night out of nowhere, you look up, you look at a star, that's where you're going. If you keep going that way, you'll always reach your destination. And tenants work like that. In the decision-making process, you don't know what to do. And you put out the tenants, and you assess your decision against each tenant, and your decision will always point in the right direction. Now, to do the DevSecOps well, one of the first things around the culture, I think one of the team, the high school team talked about when they were learning the CTF, they created a file. I think my very basic Cantonese, I picked that one up. You guys created a file, you get all knowledge in the same place, and you all can share, right? That's fantastic. That's a very important thing for working in a smaller team. It's about information sharing. It's about the communication, okay? That's the thing we're talking about is breaking down a barrier. Now, the second thing is around the security. Security is not just your job or my job, right? It's everyone's job. It's very easy to understand because HKT Ken talked about security cannot be 100%. That's 100% true in that statement. But now, in order to have security to be robust, everyone needs to take their own responsibility. You have to always ask yourself, is that the right thing to do? Is it secure? Now, the third thing is to support business and IT agility. We talked about people want to go fast. Business want to go fast. And one of the advice for you is if you ever enter workforce, your role is to help the business, but also help the customers who your business is serving. Those customers could be you today, right? Could be your parents, could be your friends. Thinking that lens, what you do needs to support them. Therefore, they can support your customer, their customers better. Now, the middle part is one of the process. We want to have a frequent feedback. I may take the example of your little, sharing doc again. Now, if I have something put in a doc and my team member sees it, they kind of go, look, I think that's fantastic. I think that's no good enough. You want to have the immediate feedback loop so you know what's the feedback and therefore you can improve. Now, I want to take that one back to the highway driving. Okay, the highway driving, essentially, we have the feedback on the floor. So that's why you can, you drive in the wrong direction. Now, to come to technology, that's why your programming skills are very important. You want to automate everything, you want to change everything to the code, and you want to test and monitor everything as well. I was given the notice that I have 5 minutes left, but I want to focus on this thing over here. For all the really young talents over here, like I was talking to Perkins just now, what was I doing when I was your age? The first, I can't really remember, but then I was definitely not being able to write a code on computer using Python, anything remotely close to that. So I really admire your technical capabilities, guys, over here, and I think you have a bright future. But also at the same time, I think when you graduate into the workspace, and for us, we look at the talent or the people that can really excel, really thrive in the workforce. They usually have a T-shaped kind of talent. If you look at the top part of a T, just in the realm of DevSecOps, right? You want to have the ability to code. Coding is definitely one of the key capabilities you can possess in the future. The second thing is called a Scrum. I'll leave it there for you to look it up, all right? Google it, what Scrum is. The third thing is your security mindset, which you already have, a CTF. You trying to become a hacker, you're trying to think like a hacker, and therefore you know what's loophole, therefore you can fix it, right? And the last thing is architecture. Again, I leave that for the kids to look it up. What does Scrum mean? What does architecture mean in terms of IT? Now, the lower part of a T is your specialization, right? You want to have your specialization. You want to find something that you're really passionate about, that you want to go into, you want to become expert of. I gave 4 examples. It might be wanting to become a really proficient application developer. You want to become AI and ML engineer, big data engineer, or you want to be advisory, telling people, talking to people to evangelize them, telling them security and DevSecOps is the most important thing. Now, last one, I want to highlight reInvent. We do that every year. You used to have to be able to traveling to Las Vegas to attend it. You have to pay to get in. But now this year, thanks to COVID-19, maybe, not really thanks, but it's becoming a free event. It's online, okay? It's free, it's online. Now you just played CTF. We also have CTF at the reInvent. If we want to take a note, the CTF at the reInvent is called a jam, as in the strawberry jam, J-A-M. So what jam is essentially CTF kind of stuff. It's free to join. You can form a team, you go to reInvent, and you play the jam. You give you different types of challenges in the AWS platform. You log in and you form a team, and if you get stuck, right, that's a button you can click, gives you a hint. But obviously, if you click the button, you lose the points. And I know you guys are very competitive. You want to get a perfect score. So try not to click the link. So I will conclude my talk over here. I'm happy to have a chat with all of you guys after the breakout session as well. I'll hand over the stage to my colleague Perkins. Thanks, guys.